Would you like to know how Stan Lee became the man we all know today? Well, here it is. Stay tuned till the end to know more about his life. Welcome to our channel, where we bring you the craziest and weirdest stories from across the world. Make sure to subscribe for more such amazing stories. Stan Lee was born as Stanley Martin Lieber on December 28, 1922, in New York City. His father, a Romanian immigrant, worked as a tinsmith, while his mother was the daughter of an Irish immigrant. Lee's parents were poor, but they lived in a working-class neighborhood where there were plenty of affordable distractions for their young son. There was, for instance, the public library, which soon became one of Lee's favorite places. He would read everything he could get his hands on, including books about magic and other performing arts. After graduating from DeWitt Clinton High School, Lee attended New York's CCNY, now known as the City College of New York, where he studied literature and journalism. When he was 17 years old, Lee got a job at a comic book company called Timely Comics, which later became known as Atlas Comics and then Marvel Comics. In 1941, Lee began writing for Timely Comics, doing mostly filler material such as captions and speech balloons. But he also wrote some full stories. During World War II, he served in the Army, stationed in the Pacific. It was during this time that Lee came up with the idea for what would become his most famous character, Spider-Man. In fact, he conceived of the character in part as an alter ego through which he could live vicariously while overseas. However, it wasn't until 1962 that Spider-Man first appeared in print in Amazing Fantasy issue 15. That same year, Lee also created the Fantastic Four, which debuted in November in Fantastic Four issue 1. Together, these two characters would come to define not just Marvel Comics but popular culture as a whole. Over the next few decades, Lee went on to create many other iconic characters including the Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Captain America, Black Panther, Daredevil, the X-Men, Silver Surfer Galactus, the Avengers, the Defenders, the Inhumans, and many more. His fingerprints are all over Marvel Comics and its characters, and so it is important to understand who he was and why he made such a significant impact. After creating these characters, Lee was approached by film producers who wanted to turn them into movies. At first, Lee wasn't interested in selling the film rights to his characters. He felt that they were too valuable to give away. However, he eventually came to realize that if Marvel was going to survive, it needed to diversify its revenue streams. So, in the 1990s, Lee began selling the film rights to some of his characters, starting with the X-Men. In the years that followed, he saw his characters brought to life on the big screen in films such as X-Men, Spider-Man, the Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, among others. Lee even had cameos in many of the films. While he was happy to see his characters succeed in new mediums, he was also very protective of them. He famously fought back against plans to make some of the characters more violent or sexualized, arguing that they should be true to their comic book roots. Lee's influence over Marvel Comics and his characters was so great that when he died in 2018, it sent shockwaves throughout the entertainment industry. Fans around the world mourned the loss of the man who had created some of the most beloved superheroes of all time. Now that we have discussed his career, let's talk about his personal life. Lee was married to Joan Bucock from 1963 until she died in 2017. They had 2 children together, a daughter named Joan and a son named David. Joan, also known as JC, Lee worked at Marvel Comics as an editor and writer. She was instrumental in the creation of some of the company's most popular characters, including Spider-Man and the X-Men. Joan passed away in 2017 after a battle with cancer. David Lee is also involved in the entertainment industry. He is a producer and director best known for his work on documentaries such as Comic Book, The Movie and the People vs. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story. David has also worked as a creative consultant on several Marvel films, including Iron Man 2, Thor, and Captain America, the First Avenger. Lee was very proud of both of his children and often spoke about them in interviews. He was particularly fond of JC, who he described as his best friend. In fact, he once said that he and JC could talk for hours on end about comic books and pop culture. In addition to his children, Lee had 4 grandchildren. One of his granddaughters, Lizzie, is an actress who has appeared in several television shows and films, including the Marvel series Runaways. Another granddaughter, Madison, is a model and social media influencer. Lee was very close to all of his grandchildren, and he loved spending time with them. He was particularly fond of Lizzie, who he described as a chip off the old block. When he was 75 years old, Lee married for the second time. His second wife was a woman named McLean Fleming. The couple met in 2001 when Fleming was hired by Marvel Comics to do public relations work. She quickly became one of Lee's closest confidants and eventually became his manager. In 2008, Lee and his longtime friend and colleague, Steve Ditko, were inducted into the Will Eisner Award Hall of Fame for their contributions to the world of comics. In his acceptance speech, Lee paid tribute to Ditko, whom he described as a brilliant artist and storyteller. Lee also thanked his wife, McLean, for her support and love. He described her as his rock and said that he couldn't have done it without her. In recent years, Lee's health began to decline, and he suffered from a number of ailments, including diabetes, heart problems, and vision loss. Despite his health issues, Lee remained active in the entertainment industry. He continued to make cameo appearances in Marvel films, and he even had a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. On November 12, 2018, Lee died at the age of 75 from complications related to a fall at his home in California. He was survived by his wife, 2 children, 4 grandchildren, and a large circle of friends and fans. His death was met with an outpouring of grief from people around the world. Fans left flowers and other tributes outside of Marvel's offices, and the company's employees held a private memorial service. Many celebrities also paid tribute to Lee, including Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo, and Joe Russo. Evans, who played Captain America in several Marvel films, tweeted that Lee was more than a creator of great characters. He was a taker of big swings, a defender of diversity, a collaborator, and a friend. Downey Jr., who played Iron Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, tweeted that Lee was a true original. He said that Lee had an incredible life and that he would be missed. Some facts about him. Naryan, Lee was born in New York City. Number 2, he was raised in a working-class neighborhood. Number 3, he started his career at a comic book company called Timely Comics. Number 4, he created some of the most iconic superheroes of all time, including Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, the Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Captain America, Black Panther, Daredevil, the X-Men, Silver Surfer, and Galactus. Number 5, he was very protective of his characters, and he fought back against attempts to make them more violent or sexualized. Number 6, he was married twice and had 2 children. Number 7, his daughter JC worked at Marvel Comics as an editor and writer. Number 8, his son David is a producer and director. Number 9, he had 4 grandchildren. Number 10, one of his granddaughters, Lizzie, is an actress. And finally, number 11, he died in 2018 at the age of 75. What are your thoughts on his story? Let us know in the comments below, and thank you for watching.